I think.
Okay. Yeah, so we have around 28 people. Let's start. Good morning, everybody. So, thanks again for joining on Saturday morning. And today, as a part of PMIPCC Agile series, we have Bhaskar sir talking on the agile demystification. Let me go to the next slide. So as I was saying from the beginning, we are recording every session and keeping the content in the YouTube. So you can type PMA policy chapter YouTube channel, and you can find under the playlist you can see PMA PCC Agile series. Okay, so if in case you want to relook our video or you want to pass it on to your fellow friends, you can always recommend this. Okay, these will be building up as we are planning more and more session. This is an ongoing session agile series. So hopefully we will have more content as we move on. Okay. So as I said, so today's our speaker, our very own Bhaskar Reddy Garu, he is an enterprise agile coach and in agile and DevOps. So he will be covering agile estimation and demystified. Okay, and little bit about Bhaskar Reddy sir. So he has overall 27 plus years of experience, which includes 14 years in US in servant leadership, delivering world class software solutions to the and with 10 plus years of experience in lean agile coaching and execution of agile frameworks with enterprise transformations. He has got thorough knowledge and experience at coaching and implementing the agile frameworks such as Scrum, XP, and DevOps, including the scaling frameworks like primarily less and safe and DAD. And he is associated with PMI from 17 plus years and 12 years with the chapter board, especially with the PMI policy chapter. He has performed the vivid leadership roles, including the treasurer and general secretary, towards the chapter growth and success. And he was played a key role in being the vice president of India, chief guest at national conference in 2019. And yeah, the good amount of certifications, very rich experience. This is competency and expertise in agile world, and it's our fortune that we are able to hear from the person like Bhaskar Reddy sir. And with this, I'm handing over to you, sir, and you can share your screen and kick off the session.
Thank you, Vinay. That was a warm welcome for me. Thanks a lot. Yes, let me share my screen and go from there. Everyone can see this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let me put it in a PPT mode. Yes. Okay, so first of all, again, very good morning to one and all. So as Vinay said, today's topic is in simple agile estimation. So how can we simplify and we can learn more? But prior to that, this is for our agenda for today. Let me touch up at a high level the intro to agile. Then we will really deep dive into agile estimation on why, what, and how, and in a nutshell, what the story points is all about, and what are some of the techniques available, and then some of the other key concepts to consider in agile estimation. So at the end, we'll have some goodies time. And then if you have any specific, objective part of this session, do share it in the chat box. I will touch base with Vinay at the end, and then we'll go from there. So with that, let me go to the intro part and okay, so these are the two things that I want to ask the entire forum. Okay, so first I will ask you one question. What drives the waterfall and what drives the agile? Can anyone can share? I will try to make this session very, very interactive rather than a monotonous mode from my side. Can anyone tell me Again, those who attended my sessions, those who know in the past any sessions, especially training session or any speaker session from me, just hold a thought, but it's more or less for all of you. What drives the waterfall? Anyone typed, Mana Vinay?
Yes, sir. Value driven is agile, plan
Mhm.
versus plan for waterfall.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Okay, so then let's move on to the next. What are some of the differences between waterfall and agile?
I'm seeing one comment. Waterfall is hierarchy driven and agile is dynamic.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. Very
Agile
good.
is
Agile is adaptive and changes are welcome. Very nice. Agile is scope variable. Okay, okay. Very nice, very nice. So let's move on. I will give you a nutshell. This is what it is. You are absolutely right. Uh, you're absolutely right. One second. Okay, so waterfall is all about plan driven, and agile is always about value driven. Waterfall is nothing but it's a defined process control, where agile is empirical process control. Predictive versus adaptive requires every piece of work to be completely understood in waterfall, versus agile is always like, provides and exercises the control through transparency, frequent inspection, and adaptation. I gave you some, pictorial way of, representation as well, how waterfall step by step, phase wise, versus in agile is iterative and incremental. Well said. Let's move on. Okay, now this is another very interesting. What is agile? Can anyone tell me?
Pavandeep mindset, Lakshmi Narayana mindset, Prabhu.
Okay, okay, okay. Very nice, very nice. Then what is the word agility to mean to you? Okay, good, 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 good. So I think you are on top of it. Well said. Let's move on with my slide here. Just wanted to, clear up all your basics before we deep dive on estimations. Okay. So this is what it is in reality. When you go to buy dictionary meanings, agile is a simple word, right? And when it comes to, when you go for, etymology, so what AG means, it's like, to drive, drought, or for, move. ILE means ability or capacity. And then it can be AG means like agent, agenda, agitation. So each one has a very specific meaning. So as long as you aware these basic fundamentals, I think your foundation will be very strong. And then there are many synonyms. This is like a Google search, but thought you all know. And then one more question I will ask you. Everybody says, or at least in my experience, most of them will say, Agile is a methodology. Do you agree with that? Super Lakshmi, super Divakar. Excellent. So you are really either working in Agile or maybe, super, super. Yes. Agile is not a methodology. So remember that. Excellent. Super. Agile is not a methodology. Then what it is? It's nothing but ideology or a mindset. It's a way of thinking, way of learning, way of working. Okay. So it's a very, very unique, right? So very nice. So to me, based on my experience, I mean, I have around 10 plus, close to, I will say 11 years of experience in Agile. To me, if someone asks, this is my definition of Agile. Very simple. Agile is simply the mindset, values, and collaboration. Okay, so when I say the mindset, you all know, whenever you give a context, how do you, take that context into consideration and make it more, effective and efficient way of doing, thinking and working? Values, you always have whatever the framework you use. Each framework has its own fundamental basic values, and you need to always align to the Agile manifesto and then go from there. And collaboration is the heart of Agile. So when you are working in Agile, collaboration is the key. Okay. And then agility. Agility is all about, responding to the given context in simple words. But when it comes to the organization, this is how you can two-way, you can define ability to both create and respond to the change in order to profit in a turbulent business environment, or it's the ability to balance flexibility and stability. Okay, so just remember these buzzwords. And it's, you all know this. I mean, there are many reports in the market as well, but I just thought, I will kind of quickly run through. These are all the agile benefits, many but not limited to, like low time to market, high productivity, high quality, early fail, early success, or any other early surprises, improved customer. When I say customer stakeholder, whoever has any interest, they all will be satisfied. More engaged employees, increased job satisfaction, increased collaboration and ownership. And then last but not the least is team transparency, and the moral is very high. Let's move on. Agile manifesto. Okay, so highly, just to touch up, I'm sure you all know how many values we have. I'm not here to go about those, but excellent. Again, thank you for sharing on the chat box. How many principles we have? Super, super. Okay. So given you all know, I don't want to go into the details of, what four values are versus what four or 12 principles are. We'll just, skip it. But I want to focus on something very interesting. Being agile versus doing agile. So anyone can type me, what do you mean by being agile? Your thought process. Again, Lakshmi, Pavan, Sairam,
Vishnu,
practice
the
versus
Patel
theory.
is saying mindset, yeah, practice versus theory.
Theory, yeah, yeah, yeah. Anything else? Mindset versus implementing, execution. Okay, I will make you doing agile is implementation, practically practicing. Okay, so let's touch up the, okay, so let's look at this picture will help you in a big way. Okay, so these are all tools, processes, and practices, right? So this can be adopted in, CC, command and control mode too. So which is truly reflection of the waterfall, traditional way of doing things. Now let's go to the next level. Principles, values, and mindset. Yes, these are the basic fundamental, I will say strong foundation in order to change the culture in the organization. So this is what the difference is all about. When you say being, you are living and dying in the mindset, in the values, and in the principles. Versus doing is you are simply focusing on the tool, practice, and the processes. Now, what's the ultimate objective of when you say being agile? So this is what makes a lot of difference. When you say being agile, you are more powerful, less visible. When you say doing agile, you are more visible but less powerful. So make this, one slide into your mind and always, remember this slide. Now let's look at the next frameworks. So we have many frameworks in agile space, right? So I will help you to remember one analogy here. You know the ice cream space, right? And similarly, we have agile space. Now, n number of flavors in ice cream space, similarly, n number of frameworks in agile space. But what is that one flavor that most like in the agile ice cream space? Can anyone tell me? Type here. In ice cream space, what is that one flavor will be liked by yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you. So just wanted to make sure you remember this way forever. That's why the example that I'm giving. Yes, you are absolutely right. But one question I will ask before I go further. So what do you mean by a framework? Maybe you may be thinking I'm asking very basic fundamentals, but these are very, very important. To see your foundation is strong, you have to be very crystal clear on this. Okay, so Sai is close, but I will correct you a bit there. Okay. Uh, you work this very day like rules or principles or guidelines or standards or so these are not the only few said. I will make sure I will correct all of you. Okay. But thank you whoever said practices. Okay. So this is what it is. The Agile is like this. It's an umbrella. You have n number of frameworks, but each framework is nothing but set of practices. Each framework has a values. Each framework is aligned to Agile Manifesto, which means our 4 values and 12 principles, right? And what's that? The framework that is used in nowadays by the most of the organizations is, you all said, Scrum. Okay. Now, I just tried my best to give you overall before we go into the actual topic like estimation. Why? Because estimations is nothing. It's a common to every framework, whether you use Scrum, Kanban, XP, Scrumban, DSDM, Crystal, any framework you choose, every framework is aligned to Agile Manifesto, which is values and principles, and each framework has its own values. Then they have certain defined procedure, but however this estimation is always common to any other frameworks whatsoever. Okay. Now my simple question is, what is estimation? Just can anyone tell me in a general dictionary kind of a meaning, like what do you know when I say what is estimation? Predict. Okay. Preparation. Okay. Guess. Okay, good. Forecast. Okay, so let's look at. So this is what it is. Estimations are guess values about cost, size, value, time, which are influenced by certain conditions and parameters. Agree? Now, my next question is, when do you estimate? When do you estimate? Okay, effort required, efforts needed, requirements. Okay, throughout the cycle while planning. Then maybe I will put, why do you estimate? The plan to finish, budget versus actuals. Okay. Okay. So let's see here. When I say the first thing is when, it's very simple. This is how we should say. When we aren't sure about the absolute value. So that's the first thing that comes, okay, we need to really do something here. Okay. Now, why? Is the predictability. Okay. How accurately you are in a realistic picture. What is that you can do to, to come with the correct value as much as you can, that you can finish. Now, how portion is something like this, like a team opinion, analogy, disaggregation. So probably you all know some of these methods will be used in the traditional as well. So it's a team consensus is the best. Analogy means history, like past experience, or maybe similar project, similar task. Like here in Agile, we always go work item, user story. It's nothing but your requirement in the traditional. Okay. So you always, whenever you get a user story, you and your team will really look at, they kind of discuss in deep dive and look at the, uh, first they understand and then they look at entire touch points of it and then dependencies, the uncertainty, the complexity, the volume. So everything together considered, they come up with a consensus. An analogy, as I said, it's always going back similar user story. Is it done in the past or things like that? Disaggregation. Always you need to, agile is nothing but, as much as you can make it very simple. Like when you start disaggregating a user story, do it again and again and again till it has a relevant meaning, till it has a relevant functionality. Make sure it is independent, it is negotiable, it is small, it is testable, it is estimable. Okay. But this is all good. So you know what is estimation, when you are doing, why you are doing, how you are doing. But what is the outcome of it? Can anyone tell in 1 or 2 words? Ultimately, what is the outcome here of estimations? API constructs and result. What else? Result delivery, MVP. Okay, okay. So let's look at here. Very simple, right? This is your outcome when you do estimate. You will come to know the size of it. You will know the total effort on it. You know the duration of it. Anything you consider, the outcome of estimation is this. Okay. Now let's move on. Measures of size. So what are the measures of size in traditional versus the agile? Can anyone type? Time. Measures of size in traditional world. Okay. So let me take you there. I think a bit struggle there. Very simple. This is how we look at, right? The traditional. What are the days? What are the hours? How many lines of code? What are the function points? What are the use case points? Again, how many, how many? So we always look at our measures of size revolves around these points. But what is the measures of size in Agile? This is simple, I think. Can anyone? Excellent. Anil, thank you for sharing that. Sai, thank you for sharing that. Yes, story points. Absolutely. Okay. Now let's look at more about our story point. So when you say story point, what do you mean by story point? Okay, before we go there, uh, this is my favorite slide. You all need to participate here. If needed, you don't type but talk. Okay. So based on this slide, the whole agile estimation, the background, the basic fundamental concept should come out. Let us say anyone, Sai or Anil, anyone, please. Or if you want to speak out, please speak out. I to guess the height of that, building in centimeters or in meters. Stick to centimeters, okay? But rough estimation, huh? Don't go nitty gritty and just roughly guess it. How much you can say? At least I will pick Sai and Anil, two examples here. Or Vinay, you can also share. Lakshmi, feel free. Okay, 5 centimeters. And stick to that, huh? Stick to that. Okay, let me talk to Vinay first.
Yeah.
Vinay, can you guess it?
In terms of meters, I can say some 200 meters or something.
Okay, okay, super. So let's I know many, I said centimeters, but
Oh,
many said in that centimeters. Okay.
okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So when you said 200 meters is to,
20,000.
20,000 centimeters. Okay. Okay. Stick to that. Now keep watching here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Now I want you to estimate that building height also.
Oh, we have white arrow here. Okay.
Yes.
Maybe half
Yes.
of that. Maybe 10,000. So, half of
10,000. So you are saying half of it. Okay. Anil, Sai, Lakshmi, can you open up and tell me what was your guess in the first building versus now?
actually they can only type. Yeah. Yeah. Anil is saying 3,000
Oh,
centimeters.
they can only type. Then
Yeah.
I will go. I will check those three. Okay. Okay. Based on scale epic. Okay. Okay. So there is a big variation, but that's fine. But at least as long as I will talk to you, Vinay, and the rest will come out with the wonderful analogy and experience, what I'm trying to do here. Okay. Now you said 20,000 centimeters,
Yes.
the first building, right?
Yeah.
When I go into the next, sequence and then small building that with the down arrow, you said 10,000 centimeters. So that came to you instantly. Why?
Because I have already fixed one. I'm trying to compare or relate to it.
Exactly. That is the word I'm looking. Relativity, relative. So agile estimation is all about relative. Okay. Especially in the refinement sessions or in the planning sessions, when application is started, when the product is started, I always suggest to teams to have a reference story. Meaning, I will give you one example. You are developing one website. Okay. So in that, there's a n number of features, n number of epics, etc., etc. So when the first planning session is happened, I asked the entire team to have one reference story for them for going forward. Whenever they sit in the refinement or planning, they should get that. So example, creation of login credentials is their reference story. Now, the entire team discussed blah, 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 and then finally they said, Bhaskar, we stick to this for a two-story point effort, because the outcome of estimation is all remember that effort. So two-story point is the effort. Considering so many factors, the team come up with the two-story point. Now, any story that comes later, regardless of today, tomorrow, next, sprint planning, or after 5 sprints from today, etc., etc. So always they consider this reference story as their base consensus. And for example, the payment gateway setup user story came in. Now, entire team will look at a couple of factors and then they come, okay, it will be twice of the effort, half of the effort, 2 times of the effort, 3 times of the effort, like that they immediately tell. So that's where the agile estimations are very quick, faster, and mostly accurate, mostly realistic. Why? Because of relativity, because of the comparison. So if you are all today working in agile as a scrum master or a coach or a you know in any respective role, you always make sure your team is having this in the first place whenever they go for agile estimation, whenever they go for planning session, whenever they are in the refinement session, because your job will be done very easily. So you have to remember these basic fundamental concept and think we will rock it. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, now, so we all know now at least, the basic fundamental concept on the agile estimation and measures of size in agile. Okay, story point. What does story point represent? I wanted to explain more and more in the previous slide, because when I say your reference story is it, and whenever next story is coming, I only set so many factors into consideration, right? But what exactly the story point represents for you? How do you give that realistic estimation? You are comparing, you are taking relativity into the consideration, but what does story point represent first of all? Okay, there are so many points here. I really touch up, look for only 3 points, 3 words. What are those? Am I getting those? I don't think so. So these are the basic fundamental concepts, my dear friends. You really need to know. Otherwise, we will be done and dusted, thrashed out, I will simply say. So as long as your pillars are strong, I think you can go to any extent. In the organizations, my fundamental observation is people use wrong verbiage. People use customized verbiage. When somebody is giving a session and is talking nonsense, you just stop very, respectfully. You should correct that person, whether he is a manager, leader, CEO, I don't care. Okay. Agile is failed only when they don't implement properly, when they don't customize it properly to their context, to their business, to their customers. Okay. Okay. Now let me go here. The first and foremost, of course, this is a definition. Okay. So it's as we know, unit of measure, abstract, relative measure, specific to team to quickly convey what all impacts needed, blah, blah, blah. But this is what the first factor. You always need story point is always, reflects the volume. So one of the key factors. Second, your complexity. Okay. Third, your uncertainty. These 3 things together you call your story point. Okay. So whenever your reference story, you consider all these and then come up with the estimated effort. Whenever a new story work item is coming, you look at what's the complexity in it, what is the uncertainty in it, what is the volume in it, and then based on that, you quickly come up. Is it 2 times half of the effort, 3 times of the effort, so on and so forth. Okay. So once you are clear now on the story point, we will move on. Why do we estimate user story points? Anyone? This is again a interesting and worthy question people will ask you. Okay. Okay. Measurable result, complex uncertainty, similar to understand the effort required for lesson learned. Lesson learned concept is in traditional. Okay, Surya. I know you don't mean to, but it's always in agile. It's like feedback, feedback, feedback. Okay. Okay. Good thoughts. Good thoughts. So let's continue here. This is one point. We just wanted to, we are in living in agile and we want to, first and foremost, we want to collaborate. Second, quantify quickly. Numbers. Just focus on the numbers in terms of the effort. Prioritizing the product backlog. Ultimately towards the timelines for the, monthly or ultimately the release timeline. Basically, it can be weekly, monthly, or quarterly. And ultimately, it helps us to plan the sprint. Okay. So these are the few factors where we can, come into and makes a big difference. And that's why we always use story points for ultimately for a planning sprint, planning a release, etc., etc. Now, what factor should we consider while estimating user story? This is kind of, deep dive. See, we know at a high level, what are those 3 key factors? Complexity, uncertainty, volume. But within that, what are all other factors we should really look at? Okay, let's continue. I think I didn't see any words correctly on the chart, but let's look at when you say complexity. So this is how your thought process will be, should be, supposed to be. What is CRUD? It's an acronym, right? Create, read, update, delete. Sometimes R stands for review also. It's a traditional jargon, but plays a key role. Integration, scalability, design, technology. Whenever a user story you get it, you look at all these factors. What's the kind of complexity involved? When you say complexity, you look at this. Is it scalable? Can we do this? What's the design? Can we design, do it properly? Make sure, can we scale it up in the future again? What's the technology we use? So things like that. Now, the second factor you all know, uncertainty, meaning you don't know what it says. You deep dive. Sometimes you do some research, and that research can be in the form of a spike. Gathering information is very key to make a very effective and efficient decision. So it can be technically also uncertain. So you need to really deep dive there, do some research. Don't jump the guns. Whenever you look at a user story, oh, it takes 2 times, 3 times. No, it's not the way. Okay. In terms of volume, what are the use cases, UI elements, automation test cases, etc. should be key. And these are all the factors probably will make you to estimate a work item or a user story as realistic as it can be. Yes, you may ask me, Bhaskar, are these on only factors? Maybe there are, we will look at, but at least you cover most of the scenarios. Trust me. Okay. Now let's move on. See, my next thing, other factors. What else we can think of? Can anyone guess other than what we covered so far? Let me see if anyone writes here. People, competence, skill set, are they applicable for non-IT sector also? Okay, tools, environment, good, 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 good. Okay, let's see here whether you touch up these points. Risks, we always know in PMP, in traditional, any application project, this is our focus point, right? So we always focus on this. Do we really have these functional risks? Do we have any anticipating any technical risks? So definitely we consider that. And Agile is a platform where every event can be a opportunity for you to flag it out, impediments. And impediment can be of any size, of any sort, or any nature. Okay, so feel free. The next one is assumptions. Okay, who, what, why. It's always an opportunity for you to flag it in a timely manner. And as you rightly said, dependencies, skill, prerequisites. So you always need to think of any work item comes, team doesn't have a skill set, any use, no use, right? So you need to be really make sure team is fully equipped, environment is given, and proper support is given, right? So these are some of the other factors and key factors as well, along with the complexity, uncertainty, and volume. Probably you cover most of the factors in order to estimate a given user story at any given point in time. Okay. So ways of story point estimation, at least now you know the background, now you know the what the story point represent, how do you do, blah, blah, blah. So now let's look at some of the techniques. Okay, do you know, at least those who are working, what are some of the techniques you are using for estimation? Okay, t-shirt sizing is one, very, very good, very well said. What else? Poker. Thank you, Lakshmi. What else? What is that called? Fibonacci. Thank you, Anil. Okay, very well said. So I think you are all touched up my expectations, which is very good. Yes, poker planning is the key, but don't use it every time. it, I mean, you simply, it's a wastage of time. Use that poker planning very effectively, efficiently when needed. When a story with respect to your reference story is too complex, too uncertain, too volume, then, go there and then do some of the trial and error. Poker planning has a series of steps you really need to facilitate and make sure you come down to a proper, team consensus. Never go by majority. In the first round, if out of 10 people, 6 people comes with majority, oh, we'll go with 666. No, that's not the way. You really need to drill down, make sure 99.99 the team should come. I will say 100% ideally. All should be yes, we'll go with 5 story point, we'll go with 3 story point. So with the clarity on what, why, and how. Okay. It's a quick, that's why the quick point, starting point is if you have a reference story, things will come out. Otherwise, no. Every time you need to struggle. So that's why you always need to adapt to that reference story and go from there. Compare relatively your complexity, your volume, your uncertainty, and then other factors if needed, so that you come down to consensus very well. And Anil said Fibonacci series. Yes, it's a universal, way of doing it. It's a wonderful, popular technique. We always go by 0, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, and uh, 34, like the 40, 100. So all that. That's a Fibonacci series. We don't change it. But again, for a sprint, for a sprint, I just wanted to ask a question to all of you. To what extent, I mean, in the Fibonacci series, you are considering prioritized stories as on today in your work area? Why? Not more than 20 points. Okay. Do you think, okay, 8 is the max, Gokul? Or you can stretch yourself in. There is nothing called 10. Sorry, Vishnu. It's 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13. It goes like that. Okay, decompose. Okay. So most of you said 8, 8, 8. Yes, I will stick to right there. If anyone is saying beyond 8 in a 2-week sprint, you simply decline. But if it is 4-week sprint, yes, I can consider only next level, but I will not keep it a big story. I will ask the entire team to decompose it further and further, as long as it meets that invest criteria. Probably you all know, when I say invest, that user story is meeting invest means it's good user story. It's immediately actionable. Okay, that's the meaning you should remember. And it's easily understood. It is very small. It is testable. It is independent. All those acronyms will be applicable. Okay, so as long as you have a 8 story point, I think I'm okay. But always question the team. Why? How? Even you can ask team to disaggregate that 8 story point further and further, so that it is easy for them. uh, at least if the team members are done, they can come and work on this story also. So always it's the flexibility of the team, but still make sure they can disaggregate as much as they can. Don't give that, flexibility, freedom of having 8 story point and one person can work all the 10 days in a 2-week sprint. Okay, but try to disaggregate as much as you can so that more team members can come and work on it. And you all said t-shirt sizing. It's a wonderful way of, categorizing, comparing, and then quickly come up like, very small, small, medium, large, XL, double XL, triple XL, like that. Very good. Okay. Now, before I go here, anyone has any question, concern, comment so far, what we learned? Please repeat the number. I'm uh, The Fibonacci series, Vishnu, maybe you are talking that. It's 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, and you can continue that. Epics typically 20, 40, 80, they will go. Sometimes 20, 40, 100. I mean, people use it in a different way, but as long as that number will be doubling and going forward, you are okay. These are all some of the, Agile is, as I said, customized very easily, understood very easily, but implementation is very tough. When you follow something, just follow that, with your gut feeling. Okay, so I mean, that's the BT of the Fibonacci, because when it comes to the 2 week sprints, it's smaller is the best. Agile is always smaller is the best. So that's why many 99.99 organizations team just follow the Fibonacci only, because it's very easy to estimate, especially any of user story, regardless of anything, any nature. Also, they can complete it. Okay, but if you want to try once in a while for a different flavor, definitely you can try. But again, they come back to Fibonacci only. Is there any standard approach to convert man hours to story points? Actually, there is one point I wanted to tell you. There is a hierarchy, right? Probably you all know in Agile, just like in traditional like portfolio, project, program, portfolio, like that, right? So here also we have like theme, epic, user story slash feature, uh, task, subtask. When it comes to task, subtask, we can only estimate in hours. Okay. And then anything above is like story points. That's the nomenclature convention that we follow. Now, the here in estimation part, it is simply the effort. In a simple language to tell you, if you are working on one particular given a role and working on something, okay, and every day, so over the time, what happens? You are very skilled, you are very active, you are very pro, you become SME, and whatever you are doing it, probably the day one you might have taken 4 hours, but over the time, you can just do it in 2 hours. So that's why we always adopt the practice of estimating in effort, which is nothing but your story points based on the those three key factors. We never go and estimate in hours, and I strictly prohibit that kind of a practice. Okay, epic, story, feature, task, subtask. Yeah, epic, user story slash feature, task, subtask. That task, subtask is kind of in hours, but whereas anything beyond, you go by story points. Now, why do you do this task, subtask level? Because more team members come and contribute to same user story. Okay. If you keep one story as is, then only one person can work at any given point in time. So it's a team collaboration. So always you need to disaggregate as long as it's can, meeting that invest criteria. First time, how do we boil down how many story points? Excellent question. Thank you, Anil. So there are two ways to start here. If you are team, you are say as a coach or a scrum master, you are allocated a team. You look at the team, you understand them. If they have an experience already working in agile, working in sprints or iterations, just go back and see how many iterations or sprints. Again, by the way, I'm using two words here. When I say sprint, it is for Scrum. When I say iteration, it is anything other than Scrum. Remember that. Okay. So when we go back and look at their, log, if they have 3 sprints or 3 iterations completed or whatever that number. So always look at and go back and average as many as you have, at least six sprints or 6 iterations. That will give you the accurate, team performance, team capability, team capacity, or what the team is delivering sprint on sprint. So start with that number, okay? And then you come up with a story point. So if you look at last 6 sprints, if the team is performing consistently with plus or minus of 35 story points, you stick to that 35 story points and continue. But if the team is really, completed in time, the next time you can increase that to 40. Yes, Lakshmi, it is called velocity. Okay. So you can increase and then you will come up very accurate predictability on the team velocity, as well as your make sure your team velocity will be stable over the time. Okay. This is one scenario. Say the other scenario, Anil, if your team is just started and you also just started, no clue what they are going to do, how they are going to perform, etc. But still, you look at the prioritize stories, you look at the team, availability, make sure the in 10 days, make sure no holidays, or even if holidays, you take out that and make sure some, maybe I will say, I don't want to use this practice because this is new. So maybe some buffer here and there, 5%, and then come up with, say, for example, 30 story points. And then after sprint planning, whether you are starting fresher or experienced, you always do that what exactly, your planning session went. Is it just right? Is it under planning or is it over planning? If you are planning, say, for example, you are based on your team availability, you have 35 story points. And then if you look at team availability, if it is, uh, too, your story points are too, I mean, you are too much committing, means it's like over planning. Don't do that. If it is too less, under planning, don't do that, but just right. Now, people are asking the same question here. How do we relate, hours to story points? In the beginning, again, don't pick me wrong, but in the beginning, just to get you familiarity, say your effort, put that into hours, probably 8 hours. So based on that, you get some amount of team availability in terms of hours, and then you can, project whether your planning is right or wrong or just right, etc. And then take a call immediately and then go from there. But don't make this practice every time. Okay, don't do this converting, story points to hour. Just in the beginning for your own understanding, just do that. But again, no, that's not a good, not at all a good practice. It's an anti-pattern. But estimation, especially the story points, is really bottom line is the effort. So always you need to have that, comes in over the time with your team experience itself. What is the predictability of your velocity? What is this stable velocity of your team? Always keep that sometimes average performance of it once in a while, and then keep on moving. Because whenever you sit in the sprint planning, what happens? Your inputs are your, prioritized stories, your product backlog, and then your last performance. Obviously, you have to take that. Uh, then only you come up with the effective, efficient sprint goal and sprint objective for the next sprint. Okay. So with that, let me focus goodies time and then we'll come back to Q&A. Okay. So, okay. Now you all need to tell me who should estimate stories. Okay. So these are the very, don't pick me wrong again. You need to be, in Telugu we say, right, Kumbasthalam Kottali ani. So that's what you nailed down properly. Okay. You are all right, but Shailendra, Sai, Bhargav said right, and going forward, all are saying right. Developers, dev team, okay. Scrum team consists all Scrum Master, Product Owner, your developers, and stakeholders, okay. And team means also in a way I take it like a Scrum team. Okay, but very specific, very specific. Scrum team means again all. We just want to stick who should estimate stories. It's a dev team. If you look at Scrum 2020 guide, it's developers, it's a dev team. Okay. Now let us look at the next question. What are the three factors to be considered while estimating user story? I think this is easy now. Okay, volume. What else? Thank you, Satya. Volume, complexity. Yes, you're all saying. Good, good. So as long as you remember those three fundamental, basic, critical factors, wonderful. Will your DOD affect your estimates? DOD means you all know definition of done. Yes. Thank you, Vishnu. Yes, you're all saying yes, yes, yes. Excellent, excellent. Okay, let's move on. What is the other name of grooming as per Scrum Guide? Super, Anil. Thank you. Okay. I would have given some chocolates if you would have been in person. Okay. This is really interesting. Okay. Is it a good practice to go with majority of votes while concluding on estimates? Super, super. You made my day because I was very specific explaining this, my session as well. How much percentage of team's capacity can be used for product backlog refinement? Roughly. Lakshmi, too much, too much, too much. Anil. Okay, I think let me look at before I jump. This is a tricky question as well because it depends on the organizations. Okay. Yeah, it should range between 5 to 15%. Some organizations will follow 5 to 10%, but I will say 10% is good. Okay, somewhere around 10% of the team's capacity will be always used in the backlog refinements. And backlog refinement, you all know when it will be done. In some of the organizations, they do every day. So that's a very anti-pattern. Okay. Typically, the refinement means the objective of it is it happens in the middle of the second week, given a 2-week sprint. The purpose objective of it is what team accomplished so far, they look at, and they talk to the PO and the product team or a business team, and they will come to know what is on their way in the next so that they can prioritize in a sequenced way, because we always want to generate value to our customer. So that's the purpose of it. And sometimes applications, products may be very critical, complex, we understand, but definitely, it's a customized one. So some people use it twice a week, and then it's always by the time we sit in the next sprint planning, we almost prioritize the user stories that come into the next sprint planning session. And that way refinement sessions will reduce your time as well in the sprint planning to maximum extent. In my active coaching teams, like they just sit, "Oh, okay, these are the 10 stories," and then most of the time the team will spend, okay, who is doing what and can we disaggregate further, all that, and then it's very easy for them. Okay, team. So we can back and questions and answers again if we have time. How are we doing, Vinay, on the time? Wow,
We,
it's just in time. Yeah, okay.
just on time. Yes, yes.
Yeah, okay, okay. Okay, but still I can stay 5 minutes or so, 10 minutes or so, depending on your. But any questions now? Or is it clear? The concept is clear to everyone?
So Divakar Konda is saying dev means dev and QA, right?
Diwakar, in agile teams, there is nothing differentiation like that. It's all, developers, that's it.
Okay,
And
so
Scrum is very dynamic framework, which means no titles, please. All managers, engineering managers, leaders, when organization wants to implement Scrum, all those titles will go. Everybody will came on same platform. It's a team collaboration. It's a unified team. Okay. I agree. In the beginning, they form teams, and every team has a very specific purpose, like say few developers, one or two QA, one analyst, like that. But over the time, that entire composition of the team is nothing but called as developers, and they all need to be going towards that cross-functional. Very well said, Anil. And how do we do cross-functional? That's a different story, different ball game together. 2 to 3 quarters probably we can spend time. There are series of steps we need to follow. But in Scrum, all agile teams need to be cross-functional. Okay, so that is the one key attribute. We all need to make it happen. Okay, anything else? Thank you, Lakshmi. I think I am skipped some of the questions, but hopefully it met your purpose, I can say. Okay.
can we have the presentation? Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, we can definitely. No problem.
Yeah, I'm sharing my screen back, sir.
Sure, sure, Vinay. Thank you all. Thank you for responding to me very quickly. I really always encourage my audience to respond to me because I never wanted to be monotonous. But thank you for considering that and being very very active with this. And thank you, Vinay, for this opportunity. Thank you, PMIPCC board, everyone. So it's my pleasure being back and contributing, saying something. Honestly, as I said, Vinay, last night I was in
Okay.
travel. I came like almost 12:30, 1 o'clock, and then quickly prepared this PPT. That's what I am all about when it comes to PMI and especially working in board for almost 9 years in PMIPCC. It's my pleasure, and I'm really looking forward to make a big difference to all our members once in a while. And I look forward to it again. Thank you, Vinay.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. And it's I mean, you have very well connected the topic and drilled down into the basics. I really like the way the interaction went on. Okay, there is a very good amount of participation from the members, and I'm glad that people are responding to the questions what we are asking and the sharing, which is went on very interactive mode, sir. Thank you for that. And thank you very much again for taking out some time. As you rightly said, yesterday you were on travel and we had to sit for long late night and work. Thank you very much once again. And we keep continue the sessions as we get on the opportunity. We will be coming back to you for again with another topic in future. We have set of speakers, line of speakers. Once we have done, again we will be coming back to you with another uh, topic.
Sure.
And
Anytime, Vinay. Anytime.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Thank you.
and the content